So now I'd like to demonstrate the adhesion measurement on the back sheet of a module. I have a lot of the same supplies for the coupon measurement. I have the 3M 8010 adhesive. I have an acrylic beam with the loading tab already attached, the weight, some parafilm, an X-Acto blade, a couple cotton swabs, clean towels, and I have an iron heating up a bit of the back sheet. Now if the back sheet adhesion is really high and you have the beam adhered to the back sheet, it might be really hard to start the delamination under the tip of the beam. So I'm going to demonstrate how we can peel back and start a pre-delamination before we adhere the beam to the back sheet. So the first step of doing that is heating up the back sheet with this iron. This iron I set to about 100 degrees. It will vary back sheet to back sheet. And if you don't have an iron, something else I've used is a heat gun. So once it gets good and warm, I will cut a little crescent shape that might be easy to peel back. Now you see with a pencil I've just outlined where a cell is so I can orient myself. And right now again I'm cutting a shape that I think is well over the size of the tip of our beam for the purpose of me again starting that pre-delamination. And I'll go back and forth with heating it up and cutting and peeling back to hopefully make an easy job of it. So I've cut these two parallel lines and I'll try to connect them with kind of semicircle or a crescent. I've just found that that makes it a little easier to try to peel up. And again, you want to get it just the right temperature so it peels up easily. So see that it looks like maybe this is just a 2-layer back sheet. I'm peeling up this outer white layer, and I think what we have underneath is a clear PET layer and then actually a blue encapsulant, so that's why you're seeing blue. So I'll peel this back a little bit, and now I'll let it cool before I tape it back down. So now I've allowed the module to cool, and I can tape this little delaminated portion back down. If you don't let the module cool, if you try to tape it back down, it might stick pretty well and it's kind of defeating the purpose. So now that I've done that, all the steps are the same, similar to the coupon measurement where I have my acrylic beam. I just want to clean that and the back sheet with a bit of IPA. And again, both dispense and mix the epoxy on the back of my beam. Now this time you want to cover the entire back of the beam, including the tip, with the epoxy. Now this extra step of starting that pre-delamination, it's not always necessary. Just with some tougher back sheets, it might help quite a bit. So I might suggest first trying without it. And if you can't get the delamination started well, or your beam just pops off, maybe then go back and give it a try. So I'm placing the tip of my beam over that delaminated part, and then I'll use a little parafilm and a weight to set the epoxy. And again, I'll come back in maybe 10 or 15 minutes and clean that excess epoxy away. So we've waited about 10 or 15 minutes and allowed this epoxy to set up a little bit, but not too much. And it should be easy now to come back with a razor blade and remove all that has squeezed out. And at this point, you can remove this tape. But I'd let it sit overnight and fully cure before sectioning the back sheet around the beam. The epoxy of our beam is fully cured. We already came back and removed any excess that had squeezed out. Now all we need to do prior to testing is take a sharp razor and cut through the back sheet to release the beam. I'm just using the beam as a guide with light pressure to cut through this outer layer of back sheet. You want to do it on both sides. And over the front of the beam. Now this is the beam where we initiated the debond, so the back sheet is delaminated to about here. Another thing I like to do is maybe cut out a strip of the back sheet alongside of the beam, and this will aid during the measurement process to give us a better idea of where the debond ends. So if you cut along the beam and then a little strip, sometimes these can release kind of easily. And I'm just exposing the module and this little strip of back sheet. And now we're ready to test. For this module level test, I like to use this small load frame I'm able to place right on the back side of the module. We have our prepared beam. All I need to do is slide my load frame into place so my articulating link fits right over the loading tab and acts to pull straight up. I'll add my pin and I'm ready to test.